You got too many cooks living in the kitchen. You don't know what you've been missing unless you
Good morning and welcome to At the Kitchen Table with Soraida and Friends. Today we have Pat and Kyle, and we're going to give you both a few minutes to just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, do you want me to start? Or
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, perfect. I'm Pat, general manager of the Marion Berries Baseball Club here in town. Brand new baseball team coming to South Salem, Bush Park, downtown. We're going to be playing at Willamette University's ballpark. And excited to get our first summer season rolling here. It's going to be awesome.
Very cool. I'm excited to see some new baseball here in town. I'm Kyle Juran. I own Remodeling by Classic Homes here in Keizer. I've been running this company for 23 years. I am a Keizer City Councilor.
Yeah. And so the reason I have this podcast is I want people to hear healthy dialogue, just like we do when we go out to dinner. We don't know what we're talking about. You both asked me what's the topic. There's no topic. We're just here getting to know each other and getting to know people in the community and realizing that even though you are the GM of the Marianberries and you are Kyle, the Keizer City Councilor, that we are all good humans that are trying to do good for the community. And let's just get to know them. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was waiting for like a list of questions or something to prepare ahead of time, and we're just going off the cuff.
Yeah, no, just like if we're going out to lunch or breakfast, but you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm super excited about the berry. What I'm super excited about is that you were at all these Little League openings. So tell me about that. What were you like, okay, we got to get this mascot out there? And
yeah, pretty much. I mean, I've been in baseball for almost pretty much over 10 years now. And I've put on 20 different mascot suits in my time, from when I first started as a ticket sales intern with the Eugene Emeralds back in 2014. And so very familiar that, hey, our mascot is our brand, our way to get out there and have fun and share that story with the community. And so, the easy tie-in is, hey, we've got a bunch of little leagues here in town. How can we provide support and a little bit of fun during their opening ceremonies and some of their games and whatnot? So yeah, we've released our first official mascot, Barry. He's a bear, black bear, loves eating berries, loves baseball, loves being around the team and around the kiddos. And then we're waiting to announce mascot number 2 during our summer season, which I think people are going to have a lot of fun with.
I was wondering how you picked a bear for the first mascot. What you just explained was kind of, I think, probably most of it, but that was a question I had.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, we wanted someone or a mascot that, was very family friendly, right? That people recognized, that was very approachable to kids and even young kids, toddlers. I've got a toddler of my own that, he's been around the mascot now and absolutely loves him, that sort of thing. So that was our main thinking. And more than anything, I just wanted to be able to also have a story for the mascot of why he now follows the team and why he's, integrated within our front office, and have that, because I think all of that sort of thing just makes the team more fun and there's a larger story to tell than just a baseball game, than just coming out and seeing who wins and loses. Like, the mascot is an integral piece of that. He tells the funness, the creativity of our team and everything that we want to do here in the community.
And when I looked at the teams that you're playing, like Walla Walla, Walla Walla Sweet Onions, like the Portland Pickles, like you have like 3 or 4 home games the 4th of July weekend.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We'll be playing the Portland Pickles. We'll be serving skewered pickles at the concession stands when they're in town. Yeah, I mean, we're the brand new team, right?
That's cool.
We gotta ruffle some feathers. We gotta make a name for ourselves out there and let folks know what to expect from us.
Skewered pickles, that's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love that.
Absolutely. And in Salem versus Portland, why not try and drum up a little bit of a rivalry? They're the defending champions in the league from last season.
Let me know how I can help.
Absolutely.
Just have skewered pickles on the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
I am in for that. Salem-Keizer is way better than Portland. I said it. I said it and I mean it.
Yeah.
Did you have any mascots running around when your kiddos were playing? I mean, sometimes I'd see the volcanoes.
Yeah, the volcanoes, because my kids were born, my 2 youngest were born the year that the volcanoes started in 97. So we were at a lot of the volcanoes games, at the beginning. that place was a great place to be in the beginning.
One of my kids was terrified of mascots. Have you had any of those yet?
Not so much. I think a little bit. We had to work around. I didn't know that our mascot suit was going to have claws on the gloves that are like kind of a really hard plastic and kind of scary and kind of a little bit of a liability. So we're waiting on new gloves to get in without the claws. I'm like, oh shoot, I didn't know this was going to be happening. But
trim those things up a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. It was like, I played the story of like when kids were scared during some of our initial appearances in Little League opening ceremonies. Like, oh, he just got out of hibernation. Like it's early spring. Like he hasn't had time to trim his nails
He needs
yet.
to find a
He had
tree.
Exactly. All part of the, grooming habits of a bear outside of hibernation.
Good conversation piece, right?
Yeah, exactly. Always trying to tell a story.
The other ththing I love is that there is a lot of local kids that will be on your team. How did you recruit those kids? I saw like Southwest. You have some McNary Keizer kids.
Correct. Yeah. So, I mean, every team in our league and leagues like this across the country does recruiting a little bit differently. Like some teams, it's the general manager's role. Some teams, it's more of head coach focused. For us, it's kind of been mainly our head coach. And then we've also got Pat Casey as a part owner in our team, the former Oregon State baseball head coach. So we don't individually recruit players or, we primarily go to their coaches, especially at the collegiate level, go, hey, like how many players would you have that would be interested in playing with us for the summer? Here's kind of the background of the team, where we play, all those sorts of details. And then they get back to us with, I've got this many pitchers potentially interested and available, or this many position players. And then you try and like fine tune a roster of, 40 plus guys to get through an entire summer. And then the challenge becomes, okay, if you have this many Division I players on your team, their postseason potentially goes till mid or late June, right? And playing in Omaha in the College World Series. So you've got to be able to find enough guys from local schools, whether that's junior colleges, Division I, Division III schools, just to be able to fill those gaps for the early part of the season and make sure that you've got a strong team the entire season. But I always tell folks that a phone call to a college coach from Pat Casey goes a lot further than Pat Zajac. So I'm pretty confident that we're going to have a pretty talented team and win a lot of games this season and hopefully contend for a playoff spot and a championship our first year. But yeah, control what we can control.
I think it just, looking at Kyle's a sponsor and big supporter of the Salem Capitals. And I think that we'll talk about them. And I think that you're partnering with them, if I remember. Did you connect with Jason?
Yeah, we've chatted plenty. I know Jason well.
Yeah, I think it's important that families have those, those places that we can go with our grandkids. And what does that look like to you for your grandkids, Kyle?
Well, they enjoy going to the basketball games, so I'm sure they've gone to a couple Volcanoes games, and I'm sure that they'll enjoy the Marianberries games. Which, my guess, there's going to be a little bit more energy and a little bit more stuff going on with the Marianberries than what I've seen at the others in the past. So I'm excited because they really enjoy getting involved in things. My grandkids are 9 and 10 years old. Well, this month they'll be 10 and 11. They both go up a year this year, so they really enjoy being involved and cheering and getting into the, being in the stands. So I'm excited for a new place to take them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what
And how will you be focusing on like that kid family experience?
I mean, that's our entire focus. That's my job, is the stadium experience and the fan experience, right? I come from minor league baseball. I was with the Eugene Emeralds for almost 10 years. Not to pat myself on the back, but we won, a few marketing and promotional awards during my time there for what we did. And different theme nights that we bring to the table, right? And Star Wars nights and unique giveaways, like a Sasquatch bobble butt giveaway that we did one year. Like always, exactly, like where the butt bobbles and whatnot. Like those are the sorts of things that I think make it unique, make it fun. Because at the end of the day, like not everyone is a baseball fan. I want our games to feel like a community event that just so happens to have baseball going on in the background. Because again, wins and losses, winning is great. Being able to celebrate a winning team is great, but I think there's something really unique about creating a space or an event space that people can have a good time, whether the team's up or down 10-0 at the end of the day, right? Like we're going to be planning on doing Star Wars night later this year and having 20 plus costume characters and Darth Vader and stormtroopers running around, right? All those sorts of things I think because that connects people who aren't baseball fans, right? I'm a diehard baseball fan, but at the same time, I also recognize the social aspect of baseball, right? It is a little bit of a slower paced game. You have those natural breaks in the action to be able to converse with the people that you're at the game with, or if you're at a company outing with all of your employees and their family and friends. It's just a great setting to be able to make those sort of connections outside of the office or outside of a coffee shop or anywhere else, right? That's our focus.
So when I was probably early preteen and teen, we used to go to Chemeketa to the Salem Senators game. So is this going to be kind of like the feel of those kind of games? Do you know? I mean, you're quite a bit younger than me, so you wouldn't have known that. But back then, it really, it felt more like grassroots, kind of like a farm team kind of a feel. And it was really fun, and it was really enjoyable to be able to get out and do that. And like you said, we were young kids, and we would go and hang out with our friends, and we'd be able to walk over and hang out with other groups. And it was just neat to be able to see a game where it was obviously everybody was enjoying themselves, and it wasn't just it wasn't a business so much. It was more just, people there to play ball.
Absolutely. And we'll have certainly that like more traditional feel, right? That social aspect, especially with the players that we're going to have. We're going to really enjoy telling the story of, hey, in 2 to 4 years, you're going to have your first former Berry get drafted and signed by a major league team. And in 3 to 5 years, you'll have your first former Berry that plays in the major leagues. Like for us, we just see it as a matter of when, not if. And so that'll be a fun story to be able to tell. And I hope that it's some of the local Salem high school kids, right, that we were just talking about that have that opportunity, because what a fun story that would be for us to tell and help champion and around town. But at the same time, like I want to fill all the gaps with entertainment and something to do other than baseball, right? That's why we're going to have
Savannah Banana it up.
Oh, absolutely. I absolutely adore the Savannah Bananas and everything that they've done. And,
right?
And Jesse, their general manager, who wears a yellow tuxedo every single game. Like, I don't know that I'll be wearing a purple tuxedo every single game. I have a little bit of PTSD from once wearing a tuxedo for one of our opening nights in Eugene and running around. We did, quick backstory, like for one of our opening nights, we were a Chicago Cubs affiliate. So in 2016, we did a reverse the curse night for our opening night, right? Because that was before the Cubs won the World Series. So they were still the cursed franchise. We, as the Emeralds, hadn't won a Northwest League championship in over 40 years, which is hard to do because there's only 8 teams in the league. So you would think just by the law of averages over 4 decades, you'd, run into one championship during that time. But anyways, did a reverse the curse night. We had a goat petting zoo because, curse of the Billy Goat with the Cubs. We had that inside of our entrance gates with hay and an enclosed space and whatnot. But then after the game, we had to clean up the space. So I was literally shoveling goat poop in a tuxedo into like a trailer truck. And I was like, man, I just got my degree in sports business a couple of years ago. Did I think that this was going to lead to me being in a tuxedo shoveling goat poop into the back of this truck? Like, not so much. But anyways, those are the types of like you hit the nail on the head with the,
that's a core memory.
Exactly.
It sounds to me like you did not think that one ahead.
But like you said, those sorts of things, like it makes for a fun memory, a fun time. It's what makes our level of baseball so unique, right? And that's the sort of feel that I want to bring to the table with our staff, with our fans. Like, hey, you never know what you're going to get at a Marion Berries game. You never know what you're going to get when you come and visit the ballpark. I want that sort of excitement around our games and what we're going to be doing.
I love that. And anyone listening or watching this podcast, you are on social media and you have a website, but you are killing it on social media.
Appreciate it. That's largely my wife's undertaking. She's the de facto assistant GM in that space. She's been with me through my entire baseball journey since I got started with the Emeralds. So she understands exactly, the sort of feel that we're trying to go for. And then at the end of the day, like, she's a mom and a wife, and that's our target market, right? We want like moms and families coming out with their kids to the baseball game. So she understands like the people we're trying to reach, not just the baseball fans, but families here in the community. And so we're going to keep, pushing out that sort of content more and more, especially as we get ready for our first season.
And your tickets are completely reasonable.
Appreciate that. Yeah. We're going to be putting single game tickets on sale here soon. But the cheapest ticket to get into the door is going to be $8 for a general admission ticket, $13 if you want a fixed seat in our seating bowl with a great view of the game. And I think one of the great things that we've done, you mentioned on social media just a few weeks ago, we released the Berry Pass for folks here in the community.
Oh, yeah. Talk about that. I love this.
Absolutely. Berry Pass. So it's a $50 pass, one-time fee on that. It's good for June, July, and August. It not only it's for kids 14 and younger, should preface that, for kids 14 and younger, but it gets you not only free general admission tickets to all of our Marianberries home games, but we've also got 12 other destination partners in town, like the YMCA swimming pool, the Croc Center, the Enchanted Forest, Get Air Trampoline Park, Athletic Edge, all of those sorts of places that you also get free admission to. And
you can use that once a day, right?
And yeah, it's one scan per day at one location. So you can't go to all 12 in one day. But at the same time, 3 months worth, that's 90 scans for $50 for the entire summer
and
for
all
a kid.
Home
So
games. Like that is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. So we wanted, you could see like a lot of these businesses that are partnered with it as like competition to us in a sense of like, these are the types of outings that families are deciding where to take their kids on a given night of the week, right? But at the same time,
Enchanted Forest is like $20.
Exactly.
Like
And
you
so
pay for half of that with one.
Yeah.
yeah, we believe it. Marianberries, like, hey, rising tide lifts all ships. So how can we get families not just coming to our games, but also experiencing everything else that makes Salem unique, or, that gets your kids active and outdoors, or doing something fun together with friends, like out in the community.
Are you maxing out on how many passes you sell?
We are close. We have sold close to 6,000 passes.
Wow.
And so I think we've got around less than 2,000 left available. So if you haven't gotten your Berry Pass, be sure to get it now, because I would anticipate before the end of the month that we're going to be completely sold out.
I just think that'd be a great giveaway. You probably should give me a couple passes to give away. No, I'll buy them to give away myself. We got to keep you doing those great things. That's amazing.
Yeah, that is. That sounds like a great,
And
a great
keep the
plan for the
kiddos-
summer for kids. Yeah.
Yeah. Like going to one, like every day you have something to do.
Absolutely. Especially
Even if-
during the summertime, right? When the weather's nice, take advantage, do something outdoors or something
Well, and
active.
for a family, I mean, it's so expensive to go to Enchanted Forest or to the Croc or to have that monthly fee. Think of that. If you spent that $100 and
Even if a family only used those once a week, it would be well worth it.
Exactly. Essentially, I think it pays for itself with about 3 or 4 scans, depending on the places, right, and the prices that they charge.
And
But
it's
more or
good-
less,
and
you're
it's
going to
good
get
for-
your money's worth after 3 or 4 scans.
and
Easily.
That's a great idea.
Mm-hmm. That's what we're looking to bring to the table, right? Just be a solution here in the community to what families want, like where do they want to take their kids,
You're
have
speaking
fun at
my
an
love
affordable
language.
price. Yeah. I've got a
Speaking my
toddler at
love
home,
language.
right? This is the same sort of thing that my wife and I consider when we're trying to figure out where we want to take our toddler out and about in the you and that sort of
you
thing.
want things to do, and for families that have 2 or 3 kids, it's
That doesn't cost you an
25
arm and a
50
leg.
and 75
And tying all these great businesses together,
Mhm.
kind
On
of
one
like
path.
we all support each other kind of a thing.
Exactly.
It just seems like a great way to go, and a great way to keep the kids, in good stuff, good quality stuff to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good. I love that. Feel-good
Absolutely.
stuff.
Absolutely.
Okay, we're gonna wrap up the feel good stuff. I feel like I'd ask
Oh boy.
a hard question.
Uh-oh.
Let's see, ready for it? What was your favorite cereal growing up?
Favorite cereal? I've always had 2, Cinnamon Toast Crunch and Apple Jacks.
Oh, you're a cinnamon kind of kid.
Oh yeah. Cinnamon Toast Crunch. That's still a guilty pleasure of mine to this day. Like, kid goes to bed, what kind of cereal do we have in the cupboard? And it's usually something way too sugary that I regret the next morning, but I still to this day will have a bowl of Cinnamon Toast Crunch late at night.
I never was allowed sugary cereal like that. What about you, Kyle?
Well, what I enjoyed myself, I was a Apple Jacks kind of a guy. And then when Cinnamon Toast Crunch came out, I too was a Cinnamon Toast Crunch. But what I was allowed to have was like Chex. But I always, you use Chex and you dump a bunch of sugar on it. So
Right.
it really negated the fact that it was healthier than
Chex,
the Apple
yeah.
Jacks. But
I do have a soft spot in my heart for Wheaties. That was, even though obviously no sugar in those, but even growing up, that was my dad's cereal. He always had it in the house. So sometimes if I didn't have my Cinnamon Toast Crunch, I just begrudgingly had Wheaties and learned to love it. Still eat it now. My dad was a little bit crazy with it. He would warm it up like in the microwave for a few seconds and it would almost become like an oatmeal. That's kind of like a small horror story that I like to tell about my dad, give you a little insight into engineering mind of Joe Zajac. But I don't do any of that. But also Wheaties is like a non-sugar sort of cereal for sure.
Nice. So where do you live in town? Do you live in Eugene still, Pat?
No, South Salem. My wife and I, we moved to Salem about 2.5 years ago. Been with the Marianberries since last summer, so almost a full calendar year now. But yeah, prior to that, we were in Eugene for 10 to 12 years, something like that.
How do you feel about South Salem?
Oh, it's been great to us thus far. We love being close. We're close to the park and to Liberty Elementary. We take our dog and son out to Crossler Middle School in the park there, maybe catch some of the Little League games as we're all walking around, hanging out. But it's been great to us. We were just looking, both my wife and I are Duck alums. We graduated in 2014 and 2015. And, Eugene was great to us. I don't have anything bad to say about it, but we just wanted to experience something else. My wife's originally from Colorado. I'm from Southern California, but we've grown to love the Pacific Northwest and Oregon as a whole. And so we thought all right, let's try getting out of Eugene and the college town and see what else Oregon has to offer. And yeah, landed in Salem and it's been good to us ever since. And now all in, right? With roots put down. We bought a house here in Salem, our first ever house, and starting up a baseball team. She's got a great job as well. So I have nothing but good things to say about Salem thus far for sure.
Well, I love Salem, but I love Keizer more.
I think everybody that lives in Keizer says the same thing.
I mean, you guys do have the In-N-Out, which as a Southern California boy, like anytime I'm rolling through Keizer, I'm stopping at that In-N-Out. Unless the line is absolutely absurdly long, which I understand the gripes there with how long the line is.
Right, and we have the Chick-fil-A.
Yeah. We've got a Chick-fil-A in South Salem.
Oh, yeah, you do. But we're getting Burgerville. You guys are getting Burgerville, too.
I think so. It just opened, right?
It just opened on South Lancaster.
Yeah, but South Salem's getting a Burgerville, too, I think.
I don't think it's planned.
Oh, it's not. Okay, never mind.
I'm not sure.
Cut that, Camden.
I'm not the biggest Burgerville fan. I mean, I know that local Oregonians, that's like your thing and whatnot. I get it. It's good.
See, I am way, way a bigger fan of Burgerville than In-N-Out. What about you, Kyle?
Well, I love Burgerville, but it's so expensive. That's, it's one of those things where, maybe once a month I'll go, even though it's just down the street. Well, let me correct myself. I may go more often for their milkshakes during the summer.
But they are so expensive. They're like restaurant expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's expensive, but it is good. And it'll be nice to have another option in town other than the two main ones we have on River Road.
What do you both think about downtown Salem parking going to paid?
When is
parking
that happening?
July 1st.
July 1st. Man.
Like good, bad,
indifferent. I'm gonna have to buy a smaller vehicle so I can park under her place of business.
Yeah.
My truck doesn't fit.
Yeah, I mean, I understand it, I guess. Especially growing up in Southern California and still going back every so often, parking spots are a premium at any downtown location over there. So I understand it. It's something I'm used to. But at the same time, there's always a part of me that hates, man, I'm just leaving my car here for a little bit. I got to pay someone. No one's watching it. But I get it. It is a great source of revenue and all of that jazz. So I think it's just one of those necessary things that people have to deal with. We have to deal with. Disappointing, I guess, in a certain sense, but I understand it.
I don't think it's as much of a revenue generating as it is trying to get people out of their cars. And that's part of, I don't know, there's a CFAC rule. It's a new Oregon. I can't even remember what the CFAC acronym stands for, but one of the goals is to make parking and driving your car more or less affordable, so you'll use mass transit or walk. So there's more things behind it than just help and generate, because by the time they pay for the parking meters, by the time they pay for somebody to walk around and check out, if you're there legally or not, they've probably spent 70% of what they're making so it's a very small margin of what they're going to get out of it. I think there's more behind it.
Well, I guess by that same token, then what are the improvements that are going to be made? And I'm just asking this because I don't know, but in terms of like that mass transit or public transportation space, like what improvements do you guys know that are coming along with that to like, make it more
Kyle's
feasible?
more well versed in this. See, we're having a kitchen conversation. We're having a kitchen table conversation.
Yeah, there's a lot to it. I mean, there's some people out there that think they're really smart that put a lot into this, and to me it just seems a little bit ridiculous. Salem is trying to be like their goal is to make us a mass transit needed place, and we're just not that. It's just it'll take a lot of infrastructure and a lot of things to come together for us to really be more dependent on mass transit. Portland is almost to that point, but their mass transit is so far, the money they put into it doesn't come back to them. And Salem, things are so spread out that it's not really easy to get around with mass transit.
Like, how would you even connect that? And what does that price tag look like?
Yeah, it'd be huge. But they're putting more money into it. They're constantly putting more money into mass transit. And to me, it's frustrating because it just seems like you're putting all this money in. And every time I drive by a bus, it's like, man, there's like 4 people on that bus. So that's a huge, huge piece of equipment that's driving around town all day for 4 people, at least in the Keizer area. That's what it looks like. Downtown Salem, as it gets closer to downtown,
I'd be
you see a
interested
lot
to
more
know
people.
what that data looks like how many people actually ride it. I know that we have it available, and that's great, but does a bus need to be that big?
Yeah. And I mean, that's why I asked the question, right? It's great to like have this plan of like, going towards more mass transit and public transportation. Mm-hmm. I understand it, especially my parents are Polish immigrants. I've been to Europe plenty of times as I was growing up. Great public transportation systems there and whatnot. So I think it is possible, but it takes, a entire cultural and lifestyle shift for folks, and not something that can just happen overnight or even in a couple of years. Like, it is a very much like a long-term plan to change the way that people go about their days and plan things out, especially as I'm thinking of like someone with kids and getting on a bus to take them to school, or like
with the stroller and a car seat, like, ugh.
Exactly. So I
remember carrying a car seat like just into the store. That's enough.
We've sort of made our bed as a society with like cars everywhere and everything being built for the convenience around everyone having a car, right? And so if we want to shift in another direction, it takes like everyone's investment in order to make that happen. And I don't know if we're there yet.
Yeah, I don't think we are here in Salem yet. And there are cities that can do that pretty easily, but we just, like I said, things are just so spread out for different functions. Different stores and restaurants are spread out. They're not, in a row, or, for a place that you can go, well, I'm going to go here and I can get most everything I need. It's, 5 miles between different things that you really need to do, or functions that you need to make during the day.
Yeah, it'll be interesting how that rolls out. I haven't really dug into it. I know there's going to be an app, and I was thinking, how would some of these seniors that have their flip phone that don't even have apps, and they've kept those phones and they will not change because they won't. Mm-hmm. How will they be able to navigate this, and what does that look like for them?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you need a whole communication plan around it and give people the tools just to be able to digest all of it and be on top of it so they can make their life plans and whatnot. And yeah, I don't have the solution to any of those things.
It's just going to be interesting to watch. But I will say to anyone listening, ask questions. Don't take, I talked about this at another podcast. Do your research. Just because someone tells you one thing doesn't make it a fact. Ask your city councilor. Don't assume.
Yeah.
If you hear that the Marianberries tickets are $75 a ticket, not true.
Yeah, you're on a third-party website that we can't control, most likely.
Right? That's bananas.
Mm-hmm. That is a thing that happened even at the lower levels of baseball. Like for us, it was an issue that we dealt with sometimes in Eugene of like I just went online and saw your tickets are $45. I'm like, that's not anything that we can control. That's a third party that's, either buying seats directly from us and then reselling it. Like, you got to know, do your research, like you said, right? And don't just search something and click on the first 2 results on Google and then, accept it as fact. It takes like that little extra step of critical thinking or just, questioning just to be able to get there. But our tickets will be
or
easy
if the man on the moon wrote the article, let's let's think about it. Well, things that I'm super excited about the Marianberries. I was thinking about Marion County Fair and Oregon State Fair. What do you like about those fairs?
So I've only had the opportunity. I don't think I've attended either of them as just a patron yet. My wife works for Oregon Beverage Services, so they do the alcohol service for both of those fairs in their entirety. So I've only worked the fairs, but I think they're great. I mean, I grew up going to the Orange County Fair in Southern California, which is a gigantic beast of a fair that lasts 2+ months, I think.
Holy moly.
Yeah, it's nuts. But I love those sorts of things. I mean, my wife's been in the fair industry for a while. She was the event manager for the Lane County Fair in Eugene for a number of years as well. So it's just a world that I've been around in similar industry to, baseball, in a sense of like, you're bringing people together, you're doing unique things like grabbing an elephant ear, or gigantic corn dog, riding some rides that are probably like a little too sketchy for me now, being a little bit older, but I get it. They're fun. When I was a teenager, loved going on them, going in the zipper, like, getting rolled around, bringing your date there and having a good time when you were a teenager, right? Like all those sorts of things. I saw T.I. at the Lane County Fair, which as a millennial dad now, like all my favorite artists are on the fair circuit, like Nelly and T.I. and Chingy and all those sorts of things.
I saw Ludacris last year.
Yeah, exactly. It's just
I'm like,
and for me, that's a turning point. It was the same thing. I had the realization, at the Super Bowl a couple years ago when it was in LA, right? And they had Dr. Dre and Eminem. And I was like, oh, finally, like the Super Bowl is having a halftime show catered to us young people. And I was like, wait. No.
It happened.
So, yeah.
What about you? Fair memory?
I worked the fair a lot when I was a teenager.
Oh.
Yeah, I did. I sold this eyeglass cleaner stuff, and it was weird. There was I can't remember what they called it, like a no fog or something, and it worked really good. But I got that job just from my cousins worked for them, and so I did it too. It's like I worked for the company that owned that. I worked for a couple other things too, and I stayed busy. I was never really a big fair person. I'm still not. It's just, it seems like a place to spend a lot of money and when I was a kid, do a lot of stupid stuff. But I did enjoy, I have enjoyed recently going to some of the older, it's nice to be able to go for pretty inexpensive to see concerts there. So that's cool to get in and see some people that I could have seen, 30 years ago.
Yeah, I love that. So a couple years ago, Alabama was the 4th of July. I loved that. That was amazing.
Mm-hmm. Well, the last time I did go to the Oregon State Fair, it was kind of neat to see all the different stuff. I mean, they dip in chocolate or deep fry just about anything nowadays. It's amazing.
You've got deep fried Oreos, deep fried sodas, deep fried everything.
Yeah. I'm an elephant ear and funnel cake kind of a guy, and that's kind of the only place you can get that stuff nowadays is at the fair.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the 4th of July Spectacular they just announced 2 years ago was Alabama. I just want to know your honest thoughts. It's Little John and the Yin Yang Twins.
Fantastic. I'm all in. Little John, absolutely.
But 4th of July, it's a family affair. So are we bringing our kids and grandkids to Little John and the Yin Yang Twins?
I will be. I don't know about you.
My adult kids. Do you know who that is?
No. I know who Little John is, but I don't know the Yin Yang Twins.
I just, for everybody watching, leave comments or email me. But when I saw that, I was like, for a family 4th of July, Little John and the I'll send you a song.
Okay.
I mean, I just have a toddler, right? Who's just learning about the world. And now we're at the stage where you got to like watch what you're saying because he's just like a recorder and repeats everything that you're saying. But at the same time, like he loves to jam and loves a good beat and whatnot. So I'm not going to lie. We've had Kendrick Lamar blasting on the Alexa in the kitchen and he's having a good time and doing it. So
yeah, I got it.
but maybe if your kids are a little more impressionable, I could see maybe not.
Yeah. I mean, you know what? I'm going to check myself. I'm going to go back and listen to some lyrics. I'll have to rethink that. So I'm either going to be like, yeah, that's an adult concert. My Meemaw recommendation would be this age and up.
Now I feel really old.
Well, I'm going to end this podcast with 3 questions. Okay. And so the first one is, what keeps you up at night? It doesn't mean last night, but like what is something that you continually like weighs on your mind?
Like career-wise or just personally or
you can answer both ways.
Man, I would think the biggest thing for me is just how did I show up to my son today? And more so like being present, emotionally available, all of those things. Because, I've got a stressful job in terms of putting a brand new baseball team together. And my wife and I, our families are back in Colorado and Southern California. And so, all of that onus is on the two of us to kind of, go back and forth between coordinating our work schedules, making sure we're taking care of all the details there while also making sure that our son has, 2 perfectly great, emotionally available, present parents at every step. So I would say that's the biggest thing of like, it's been a learning process for me personally. I came from, parents who were divorced when I was super young. And so never really had that example in the house of, a emotionally well-functioning family dynamic, all that sort of thing. And so that would probably be the biggest thing that keeps me up at night is making sure that I'm showing up the way I want to show up every single day for my wife and for my son.
Thank you for that super honest, personal answer.
Absolutely. You asked me what keeps me up at night. That's certainly what keeps me tossing and turning.
That's what I want people that are watching and hearing to get to know the people in our community.
Yeah. Everything else is just extra. Like, yeah, I've got work stresses. Yeah, I've got those sorts of things. But like what really weighs on my mind, what do I really care about would be that.
Nice.
Very good.
Kyle?
So for me, I wake up thinking about how did I represent the community, in the last meeting or the last conversation I had. I really take it seriously that, that I was elected as a city councilor. So, if I kind of beat myself up at times, did I say something stupid? Did I do something that wasn't the best in representing my community? So I really think about that, and I'm really concerned that I'm doing the best for the people that elected me. I want to make sure that I come across as genuine and that I really care for our community. So I really do consider that. And another thing that really keeps me up is my company is, I'm second generation, and my daughter works for me, and I really want to make sure that as I'm pushing forward, I'm looking at maybe retiring, and well, I don't think I'll ever completely retire, but I'm looking at passing the baton in 10, 15 years, and I want to make sure that my business is going to be sustainable for not only my daughter who will be running it, but necessarily or hopefully for more generations. So how can I make sure that we're positioning that to be sustainable for years to come? So I think way ahead when it comes to business. I want to make sure that we're focused on things that are gonna keep us relevant in the future and keep us going, keep the business positioned that it can stay going, that it can be it can support multiple families. In that, I really worry about my employees. I don't know why, why I do. I care about them. So it's really, how can I make sure that I'm making enough money to keep giving them raises, keep giving them the things that I enjoy doing. You know, as a contractor, I have employees that, you know, that work hard, and they may not necessarily have schooling or college, you know, or anything to fall back on. So I want to make sure that they're positioned to well and can grow. We do fun things. 2 years ago, I took them all on a cruise. You know, they would never have been able to take their family on a cruise. So last year I took them all to Disneyland. They would never have been able to take their families to Disneyland. I want to make sure I'm doing things that benefits them and allows them to move, you know, forward in their position and in the company. So I think about those things all the time. What can I do? How can I maintain how we're doing things to keep everybody, you know, not only wanting to work for me, but feeling like they're getting something out of the job. So I have a lot of deep thoughts in the middle of the night.
Right. Now that's great. I love that. And it shows with the people that work for you. Next question.
Mm-hmm.
What excites you about Salem-Keizer right now?
What excites me? You know, one of the big things I noticed when I first moved to Salem was just the overall feel of the community and the investment and buy-in from folks, and not just like business owners, but folks around town of like, you know, Eugene likes to, from my experience, you know, establish themselves as being like very community focused, small business minded, supporting local, all of those things. But it's such a different shift here in Salem that I think is like 10x what Eugene was in that realm of like, you know, I went to my first networking event at Salem Greeters back in September. And I think I must have had like a deer in the headlights look, because like as soon as I walked in, like there were already people like noticed that I was brand new, introduced themselves to me, immediately started introducing me to other folks. And like, it just felt so much more genuine. Like people here really want to see Salem and Salem-Keizer do better and be better and, you know, set ourselves up for success. So 5, 10, 15 years down the road, like our kids get to, you know, experience like all the good that we're putting in now. And I think that's been one of the coolest things for my wife and I to sort of experience is like, you know, a lot of communities, a lot of cities like to talk about supporting local and being all about small businesses and doing what's right and that sort of thing. But when it comes down to actually getting those things done, like not so much. And here in Salem-Keizer, I certainly feel that like civic pride, like we are a state capital, like we should have really nice things and roads and businesses and a thriving downtown and all of those sorts of things. And there certainly is a very big want and desire for that to happen and a lot of buy-in from folks. And so I have no doubt that we'll all get there together in the next few years and all the changes that are being made. And I think we're doing the right things as a city, or at least stepping towards things are going in the right direction. But I think that's been the biggest, at least change for me, biggest difference in like moving from Eugene to Salem is like that genuine connection, like, yeah, for Salem-Keizer, everyone wanting to, rising tide lifting all ships, right? Like everyone wants to see each other succeed. And I certainly feel that.
Love that. What about you? What are you excited about? You can just say Keizer, say Salem-Keizer.
Keizer.
Keizer. Keizer first.
And Salem.
Yeah.
No, I do enjoy what's happening in Keizer and Salem. I do feel like it's a positive atmosphere. I feel like there's a lot of things, you know, happening recently that have kind of changed made a turn for the better, at least from my perspective. So I'm really excited about, you know, things happening in town. You know, little things like the Marion Berries coming in and things like that I feel are just going to make things, you know, that much better, given another opportunity to do, you know, that much better things for people around town. And there's a lot of stuff happening in Keizer with, you know, new businesses coming in. And our only problem in Keizer is we have no land to grow. So that'll be something that we talk about, I imagine, on this podcast in the near future, pretty extensively over the next year. You know, I get more comments from my constituents about all of the construction being apartments and things like that. I don't know if you've noticed that here in Keizer. It's there's no place to grow out, and so they're densifying. It's like, well, build up, cram more people in the same space, and that doesn't feel like Keizer to me. So I'm excited about maybe some opportunities for that to happen in the near future. And we're talking about it this next month in city halls. So that'll be downtown halls. So
yeah. Yep. Yeah, that's great. All right. We're ready for the last one.
Hit me.
What is something that everyone needs to know about? It could be a place to visit, a product you tried, a restaurant. Like you have to try this to anybody that's listening.
Oh, man.
Like I just tried this place that I didn't even know about, or I just bought this product that I saw on TikTok, or
man, so much of my world is just consumed by all things toddler related.
Well, it could be
you
you could say like, did you know, I don't know, what new toddler toy or safety feature so they can't escape the house? I don't know. Sometimes when I go to like a baby to buy for a baby shower, I'm like, what is this? Why didn't I have this? Right?
30 years ago.
Oh, man. I would say if you haven't watched Bluey and you're a new parent or even just a parent with small kids and you haven't had a chance to watch Bluey, you should watch it with your kids because there's just so many like adult themes in it. And in a good way. I don't mean that in a bad way. But in a sense of like that talk about parenting and the emotional journey that you're on and, crafting the story in a way like episodes are 8 minutes long. And I can't even tell you how many times that like my wife and I are both crying at the end of things, depending on like the stories that they're telling with Bluey and Bingo and the kids and whatnot. And I just think there's just so many like relatable themes in there that has certainly like given me so many different perspectives on parenting and going back to like showing up in the best way possible at home when I come home from work. That's what keeps me up at night, right? But yeah, if you haven't, it's great. It's a great show.
I haven't. As a Mima, I bought Bluey toys, but I've never watched the episodes. Don't they have a grandma and grandpa on there too?
Oh yeah, they've got whole big family, friends, all sorts of different stories, and like it's fascinating the breadth and depth of like topics that they're able to talk about and discuss in an 8-minute episode. That again, the show is for kids. My son loves it. Our dog even loves it because fun fact, it's made in like colors that dogs can see too. Oh, so yeah, we'll catch the dog like checking it out every so often as well.
So all those moms and dads out there that are getting ready to have kids,
yeah, Bluey, absolutely. I mean, my wife and I probably look forward to it more than our son does at this point.
When you start wearing a Bluey's just shows up on the berry.
Yeah, we'll bring a Bluey night to the table. I think the Bluey movie comes out next year for the first time. So great opportunity for us to do a Bluey night at the ballpark.
Love that. What about you, Kyle?
I don't know.
Discovered I don't know.
I don't know. Nothing crazy like that.
You didn't discover a new tool that you can use, or
no? I mean, what he's talking about is almost something that changes the rules for things. It sounds like for rules as a parent. I mean, here you have this great show that the kids love. I mean, when my kids were younger, it was Blue's Clues and things like that. But that was a long time ago,
right? Or Bob the Builder.
Bob the Builder, yeah, that was that. I think that was a little bit after my kids' time. But I tried a new restaurant in Keizer recently that was really good. Osaka Hibachi and Sushi.
Oh, and what's good?
It was good. I had hibachi.
Hibachi.
I had sushi fan? Here.
I had what?
Are you a big sushi fan?
I'm not. I like sushi, but I don't know sushi. So it's like, if I go for sushi, I'll say, well, I'll try one of the sampler platters. And it's like, yeah, I like that, and I like that. And it's like, I don't remember what it was, but I remember I liked it. So my wife doesn't like it, so we don't go often. But it's this little place on next to where Wicked Sweet used to be, over by Bimart. And it was just a good place. I took the Walleries with us one time, and 2 days later, they called me and asked if they want to, hey, let's go back to that place. We really liked it. So
I'm
it's
about
just-
that.
it's
You heard
just
that here. Watch Bluey and go to
Osaka.
Osaka.
Yeah.
I'm always looking for good sushi because my wife is similar. She's from Colorado originally, right? Landlocked. She runs from seafood. But I'm the opposite. Like I love raw fish, love good sushi. So I'll definitely check that out when my wife's out of town because that's when I eat all my seafood.
Well, call me. We'll go over there for lunch sometime.
Okay, perfect.
Well, thank you both for being here. I know that I will have you both back. I know that I'll be seeing a lot of you, Pat, because I have season tickets
Yeah, you do.
behind the catcher.
Mm-hmm.
That is going to be a fun time. And thank you, Kyle, and thank you for being a sponsor for this podcast.
I'm excited about that.
Remodeling by Classic Homes. Been around for how many years?
23 years now.
23 years.
Wow.
Local, everyone, local. So thanks again. And I appreciate you both and really appreciate your perspectives today and your honest thoughts and conversation.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Over and out. Just a brief correction on this podcast. This podcast was filmed before the Marianberries moved this season's games to Chemeketa Community College. Tune into their social media, website for schedule, and I hope to see you at one of their games. Batter up. Big shout out and a big thank you to Valor Mentoring that recorded the video and audio for this podcast, Changing Lives That Change Lives. And thank you to Remodeling by Classic Homes for sponsoring this podcast. Thank you so much for joining us at the kitchen table with Soraida and friends. Please follow us on social media. You can find this podcast on Apple, Spotify, and wherever you listen to your podcasts.